いい機会です。一度ご家族で話し合ってみては。
何をでしょう。
デイビッド君はクラスメイトとも馴染めていないようですし、あるいは環境を変えてみるのも。
いいえ。
David shows a lot of oppositionally defiant traits. Oppositional defiant disorder is a disorder that often shows within their teens, usually before your mid-teens, and it can be seen by shows of difficulty with authority, aggression, wanting to oppose when someone puts down strong rules, and a difficulty in following the line, staying within the rules that society has given to you.
この子はここでないとダメなんです。お願いします。この子を学校にいさせてください。
And you see for David, many people, when they are in front of the administrator or the principal, they would be embarrassed or ashamed or scared. But you see a different emotion from David. He's angry and frustrated, and that's often what happens with people that lean more towards being oppositional. When confronted with rules or admonishment for not following, they become angry and upset. That is their defense mechanism taking over because they don't like that feeling of being constrained.
あんたのためにと思って働いてなんだと思ってるのよ。
母さん。
So how do you deal with someone that has a lot of oppositional traits? Right away, if you set the law, if you bring down that rule, if you try to strong-arm someone that leans towards being oppositional, they'll get their back against the wall and it'll actually be them wanting to be defiant, sometimes even against their own best interest because they don't like having to feel controlled. If you give a do or die scenario, they'll often choose die. They'll choose the worst case scenario, even if it harms them, because it is so much the antithesis to who they are to live by someone else's rules, especially someone that they don't respect.
なんだと思ってるのよ。
母さん。
あんたは頭がいいし、才能だってあるって言われて。だから。
David's mom has found a different way. That's appealing to his sense of empathy and care for her, and understanding that she's doing this not against him, but for him. And that is a different way. It gives them that feeling of choice. And for people that lean towards being oppositional, them having a feeling that they have choice and control is their way out of it. Even if the choice is between two bad things, and also a feeling of respect. A lot of times, people with oppositional defiant disorder or leaning towards those traits, they don't like that thought of authority, especially authority that they do not respect or that is just set before them for arbitrary reasons that they don't understand. If respect is given to them, then they feel like they can let their guard down a little bit. And because of that, they feel more open to giving some respect back.
あんたのためにって思って必死で働いてんのに学校行きたくないなんて。じゃあ私は何してんのよ。
Do you see David softening? Before he was angry and frustrated and he was cycling through his thoughts. You could tell because he was tapping at his foot, which some people do for anxiety and other people do when they are spinning and thinking or trying to solve a problem. But right away when she gave these heartfelt words of why she's doing this for his best interests, it gave him a different train of thought. He started to care. You could see the emotions mattered to him. His mom matters to him. That allowed him to be more open to the options of going back to school.
言い過ぎたよ。悪かったから。泣かないでよ。
He apologized and said that he shouldn't have brought it up. If she had gone at him in a really strong way, saying you have to go back and I don't care what you want and you're going to do it anyways, he would have said probably, no, you don't understand, this isn't the way to go, and felt more anger and animosity towards her even if he decided to go, and probably done some of the self-sabotaging that he has done that's going to ruin his school year anyways and get him kicked out.
俺は別に貧富の差でお前を差別しない。お前を許せないのは別の理由だ。
さっきから何言ってるかわからないんだけど。
それだ!
It's funny because these bullies telling David to get out, you don't belong here, you're not going to be able to make it. In my head, I was thinking, well, with David's personality, this is the best way to get him to stay in school, try as hard as he can, do really well, just to show them that he can. When people are oppositional, often that feeling of spite And pride is the thing that can keep them going for many, many years, even after the initial threat or thing that they're trying to show up is over. Just on their own to know that they could.
やめるんだ。自主退学しろ。お前はクラスの異物だ。
Because some of the things that the bullies are saying are actually very correct about people that are oppositional. They don't form into convention. They think outside of the box. They often don't fit into the main culture because they do things differently and they don't like to follow the rules. They make their own.
ファイトシティで底辺の奴らが不当な利益を上げるとしたら方法は一つ。
Being oppositionally defiant, you are more prone to anger and aggression. That's often the way that you cope with feeling threatened and upset. In those ways, being oppositionally defiant can be really destructive. It's hard for you to be able to be in a very conforming job or school, especially growing up when you don't have a lot of power. You're best being a leader, doing things on your own, or working at a company where you have a lot of flexibility and given that respect. But when you're growing up in school, that's not the way that it works. You kind of have to be able to fall into line and do things just because, even if they make no sense, even if the teacher or principal is completely wrong. And if not, it's going to count against you. And because of that, a lot of people that are oppositionally defiant have a really hard time, struggle a lot growing up. And if you're prone to a lot of aggression, you can cause a lot of damage to those around you and your family. And it's really hard to parent a child who's oppositionally defiant because every time you set down a rule or say no or ask them to do something they don't want to do, you're going to get blowback. I think that oppositional defiant disorder is really looked at very negatively, but there's also a lot of positive traits that really comes with it. I think that thinking outside of the box, not having to always conform to authority is really good. And a lot of leaders and people that think of doing things in innovative ways lean towards being more oppositionally defiant because they're thinking of different ways of doing things. They don't just believe that society's rules are the only rules that they have to follow. They decide and think of different ways to make their own. I think that it often gets a bad rap where there's a lot of really good traits that are inside of there as well. We just kind of have to parse out the ones that make it really difficult to survive and thrive in society.
挙句にあっけなく自己死。人にはそれぞれあった道というものがあるな。お前も。
And that's the thing, while David's looking through all of the different things that have happened to him, all of these traumas, he's problem solving. You can see his leg shaking as he's really thinking through those cycling thoughts that are kind of rushing at him. He wants to be able to find a different idea. And though these traits can end up making him angry or spiteful and vindictive, it can also make him really resourceful and sometimes do the things that no one else will think of doing. And because he'll take those risks, yes, it can come at huge cost, but it can also sometimes come at huge reward. And you can see that stillness that happens when he's come to a solution of his problem, when he's able to solve it. So a lot of the people that fidget, they're not always doing it just because they're anxious or nervous. Sometimes they're just doing it because they're thinking through a problem, and it'll stop once those cycling thoughts have come to an end and a resolution, whether positive or negative. Because of that resolve that David has, because he's already lost everything, there's nothing else left to lose, and because of that opposition to what society says you should and shouldn't do, that he's able to go beyond that, he decides to go all the way and get chromed up. But not all of us are lucky enough to get chromed up to keep us protected from the dangers of the internet. And for those of us who can't, luckily we still have NordVPN. For example, when I travel, I can't access the streaming services that I pay for in my home country, and I can't get the same shows in all the different countries that I go to, except with NordVPN, I still can. I just pick my country, and then I get my content. Or when I try to log into Gmail or YouTube, it kind of freaks out and wants me to verify again, and it's so hard for me to remember all my passwords. But with NordVPN, it's like I never left. Everyone and everything is happy, all with amazing speed and convenience. Plus, with NordVPN's threat protection, all my connections are safe from malicious attacks, ad tracking, and all those other supervillain energy on the internet these days. Hate having weak passwords but can't remember them all? You can also check out NordPass on NordVPN's website. NordPass can generate strong passwords for you, so you can stop using password for your password. Don't do that. It's super easy, and if I'm saying that it's easy, that's saying a lot. Connect with one click or enable auto connect for zero-click protection with up to 6 devices on every major platform. And because you're watching this video right now, just head on over to nordvpn.com/Georgia Dow and you get a 2-year plan plus 4 additional months with a really large discount. It's risk-free with NordVPN's 30-day money-back guarantee. So head on over to nordvpn.com/Georgia Dow or click on the link below and try it out now. Clicking on that link really does help out this channel, and so does hitting this playlist for more videos on psychology of your favorite shows, movies, and video games. So I hope to see you in the next video. Those are my thoughts on David Martinez. You can let me know your thoughts in the comments below.